my god. If is anyone still there, thank you so much for waiting this long. What a faff. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. In fact, just live again. About 3 days of messing about with beta 3. Right, well, there's a few things I can say straight away. If you're rewatching this, beta 3 for the reverb is pretty much broken. The Windows Mixed Reality controllers don't even show up. I'm getting really laggy performance. Even when I get into the sim, it's really juddery. I don't know what the hell's happened, but I guess this is beta, isn't it? And this is what it's all about. Like I think Dave said, you're quite right. You know, this is a beta version of X-Plane, so we have to expect all these annoying things. It seems like when 2 or 3 bugs have been fixed, there's at least 5 more that appear. But hopefully you can hear me, guys. All good. That's great. Right, so basically, bless her, Melissa is very kindly going to sort of read out some of the chat for me because the Rift S is hopeless at using the virtual desktop. It used to be really good. I remember when I first got a Rift S, and even the original CV1, I remember you was able to use the virtual desktop without any problems, but now it just lags like crazy. Anyway, let's set this aircraft back up again so we can finally depart Edinburgh. I tell you what, it's a good job I didn't work for a budget airline or anything, isn't it? I tell you one thing as well, the mouse works better as well with the Rift S. So this, you know, all these things are worth testing anyway. So even though it's been really painful doing all of this, it's made me, you know, at least we can kind of deduct a few things that are wrong with the beta already. And that is basically, if you own a reverb, I'm afraid to say, do not, if you haven't already, do not update to beta 3. Stick with beta 1. Right, so I'm going to put all our passengers in again, like I did last time. I'm hoping that we've got a full chat. So these are all our paying passengers. We've got plenty of fuel. So remove the chocks and doors. And we're going to get going. We're going to put our gen on, our battery. Should have done that first. Bus tie. In fact, we've got 2 batteries, a starter battery and a gen, 2 gens as well. I love this aircraft. It's really gorgeous. Now I'm using the Oculus mirror, so unfortunately you're going to get a bit of distortion on the left and right side. I really do apologise for that. If I was doing a normal video, I'd edit those bits out. Of course, this is a live stream, as you can probably tell. It's taken me 2 hours to even get ready to do it properly. So anyway, let's start this bird up and we'll get our flight plan in here. To say, this is the Oculus Rift S. Works really well in X-Plane, thank goodness. Menu, store. That's not to say we won't get a crash at some point. No, sorry, catalogue. Hopefully we won't though, and we can complete our little flight today. Right, okay, so we're going to East Midlands. And East Midlands, we're going there because that is a very, very frame rate intensive airport. It's the worst one of them all. I've got loads of ORBX airports. And East Midlands is horrendous for stutters. Now, one thing I can say about Vulkan is that I've noticed the stutters have pretty much gone at these really large airports. And we are sat here at Edinburgh, and as you can see, it's bristling with detail. I'll just quickly hop outside for a moment just to show you. Just look at this. Look at that tower. Incredible. Everything's modelled really well, as you'd expect. And yeah, this is as I say, a fully detailed ORBX airport. I'll just show you my settings I'm using as well, in case you're interested.
T-Dub, never say the word crash when...
Yes, that's a good point, actually. Do you know, one thing I've noticed with Beta 3 already, and that is it's using more VRAM. I was up to about 9 gigs, and my graphics card should technically be able to show at least 11 gigs of VRAM. Now with the Beta 2, it used to kind of top out at 7 gigs, but it's already higher. It's almost at 8 gigs already. So there my settings are very high. As you can see, reflection detail, I always leave that on minimum because I just don't think the gain, sorry, and visual fidelity is worth it. So guys, thank you so much for waiting around for this. This is just, you know, ridiculous how long this has taken to get going. Oh my god. I mean, just... But we are actually moving. Oh my, it's amazing, we're actually moving. I don't want to say too much. I think I mentioned the word crash once, but I got away with it. To quote Monty Python. Right. So, I think we're heading for 27. This is a really beautiful airport here, and I'm going to go into the external view when we take off, just so you can see how really nicely modelled it is. And as I say, last night with the Beta 2, I did this flight no problems, but I was in the Rift S. To be honest, I know this isn't much good news right now for reverb owners, but it just doesn't seem to work very well at the moment. But having said that, you know, you can always roll back to 11.4.1, which is a really nice stable release, and you can always try the OpenGL version. Where the hell am I going? Where am I going? I've no idea. Oh, it's alright, yeah, we're going this way. It's alright. God. I've had too many cups of coffee as well. I think I've had about 3 or 4 cups of coffee already now, which isn't good, so I'm going to be high as a kite now. Yeah, ignore my really impressive taxiing skills. I know you're going to be really impressed by them, but yeah. It's because we're late, we need to get going. Our paying passengers are not impressed. They were supposed to be at East Midlands about an hour and a half ago. So I'll have to explain to them that I had to change VR headsets. Imagine hearing that from your captain. Hello there, unfortunately the flight has been cancelled, or it's been delayed, because the reverb headset I'm using has crashed. Right, do you know what? I'm just going to take off from here. I don't really care anymore. I'm losing the will to live here. But this is all the fun, guys, of the beta process. So, in fact, no, this is another taxiway, so we're not quite there yet. This is a huge airport. Right, we can do some of our checks here. Got our nav lights on. We've got our flight plan set in. We haven't got our CDI set, so we'll do that now. We need to have our altitude set. I don't want to go too high actually today because I want to show you this beautiful scenery, so I think we'll go to about 5,000 feet. That will do. Do you know what? I think that's been the problem. I think I've been doing it all wrong. I need to just start on the alcohol straight away. I think everything would have been fine then. Cabin, yeah, that cabin needs to go on norm. We need to check our oxygen. No, we don't. Not going to be going that high. Hopefully the visuals are okay. As I say, I'm using the Oculus mirror, so it's not the best. But in the headset, oh, actually, that's something I need to mention. The OVR tool, which please don't crash if I put this up. Hopefully it won't. Yeah, right. As you can see here, I have got it locked to 27 frames. That is a one of the magic, shall we say, frame rates. The frame rate that you need when you're using asynchronous time warp. You can either be at 20 frames, 27 frames, or 45 frames. Any of those values and you'll get beautiful smooth performance. Now unfortunately, due to the way the asynchronous time warp works, if you're in between those values, say if you're getting 30 frames per second, it is horrendous, you get lots of judders. So this OVR tool gets rid of all of those problems. All you need to do is go to this page here, set that to 27 frames per second, and then even if you get 40 frames per second, no problem. Sometimes you won't, whether it's because you're loading in ortho or something like that. At that point, if you just keep it at 27, then it frees your computer up to do all sorts of other processing, like, you know, airports and things like that. So I thought that's definitely worth a mention, and I'll probably mention it again later on. Right, let's go. actually going to take off. It's a miracle. Right, well, the small engine dials, well, I have no problems at all in the Rift S reading pretty much 90% of everything, especially if you super sample the reverb, which I will, but I haven't said who that was, sorry, because you just said it to me. Who was that again, sorry? Robbie169, I'm just talking to you if you're wondering. Yeah, anyway, I'll talk about it in a second. Let's just have a quick look outside here. Hope it's not going to be too loud. Gorgeous, look at that. If it's too loud, guys, let me know, I can turn the sound down. Wow, look at that auto as well, amazing. That is really nice, very, very nice indeed. Right, autopilot on. Altitude change and nav mode. Yeah, so the Rift S is a fantastic headset for reading all the, you know, I used to have a CV1 and that was an OLED panel display. The colours are better in an OLED panel display, but you don't get the really good resolution. Like for instance, I can read this operation limitation here. This aircraft contains markings and placards that must be completed when this aircraft is in operation, blah 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 blah. So I just show you that, I can read that no problem. That is really small text, and that is with super sampling set at, I have no idea, 1.7. You can go as high as 2 if you've got a really powerful graphics card. Just to say, the super sampling in the Rift S is harder on your GPU than the native resolution of the reverb, so I think that's worth mentioning as well. So yeah, pretty much everything is pretty legible, and if you've got say a 2080 Ti card, you'll be able to have much better performance than me. Especially now Vulkan's here, hardware should now make a difference, whether before it didn't. But let's just turn down some of these sounds. I don't want it to be too loud for you guys. I should have just done it like this straight away really, shouldn't I? Never mind. Who's that, sorry? Amando. Oh, I'm overspeeding. Oh my god. My passengers are not going to be happy with my flying today. The thing is, this aircraft looks like, for instance, now we've lost total control because we are overspeeding the aircraft. So, this is the Airbus Eclipse, by the way, just to let you know. And it has auto throttles, as I'm going to show you here now. You know what, the Rift S controllers are sublime. They're so good. I love them. I know some people don't like me saying this. I've had a few people that, like, you know, aren't impressed with this, but for me personally, if you've got enough money to buy a Valve Index and you are a flight simmer, then you're better off buying a Reverb and a Rift S because it's the same price. And that way you get to enjoy X-Plane, because I do feel that the Rift S is better in X-Plane. You know, if you just take away the resolution element to it, which isn't too much of an issue anyway, you get a much smoother experience. And then you've got the Reverb for, say, if you want to use other sims as well. And as I say, the Reverb does work okay, generally speaking, in X-Plane, and it is quite spectacular, but at the moment, right now, with Vulkan, it is broken. Beta 3 has broken the Reverb. So that's the headline news for today. Oh dear. Musa, which aircraft is this? This is the Airbus Eclipse. It's been out for quite some time now, but this is my go-to. I've got 3 go-to business jets, mainly. This is one of them. It's got a GN 750 display panel here. It's a wonderful unit, and you've got a little display here, so we can have 2 separate things going on. That's our traffic, say, our flight plan. We can go into here and check out our waypoint information. So I can go to our airport page here and check Edinburgh ATC. In fact, what we need to do actually is go to East Midlands and get our waypoint information for that. So the frequency, ATIS, so I can just put that in COM standby, COM 1. Just love the way this thing works, it's really nice. Alright Dave, will do. Yeah. I'll turn it down, no problem. But I'll turn the master down a bit. The environmental sounds on this can be a little bit overpowering, so let me know if you let me know if that's okay. Who was that, sorry? Robbie, you're asking if you should wait and hold on. Well, to be honest, if you haven't bought a reverb at this stage, it probably is more prudent to wait until we know more information about the Reverb G2, because that looks like it might be a nice little improvement over the standard Reverb. Now, I don't think, I mean, it's not looking like the panels are going to be any different. Not that that's a particularly bad thing, because as you know, I rave about the panels far too much as it is. I love the resolution in that headset is just a thing of beauty. But it could do with a bit of a wider field of view. That might happen, but at the moment we just don't know. But two things I can almost definitely say is going to be better. Probably three things that the new Reverb will have. That will mean it will probably have better controls. It'll probably have the Valve Index knuckle controllers, which are probably the only other controllers that are better than these Rift S controllers. So that's a big upgrade. It's also going to have the off-ear headphones like the Valve Index. Now the Valve Index, in terms of its audio, is class leading. There's nothing else out there that's better. So you've got those two huge advantages. I said three, didn't I? What was the other one? Oh yeah. I'm wondering whether we might have the option to have base station tracking, which is far superior to inside out tracking. So with even those three things in mind, it would be a shame if you bought a Reverb now, knowing that this might get released at some point this year. So I would wait. That's my long-winded answer. Oh, I wish I knew when it was going to be released. I really do, because I'm very interested in it, to be honest, as well myself. But so far we don't know. I've got a feeling this horrendous, disgusting virus that is sweeping across the world is going to have an effect on all sorts of things, including the new Microsoft Flight Sim, any new VR headsets. Anyway, I'm just going to show you guys. I don't know if you can see this. Is smooth. This is beautifully smooth. We're now flying over the mountains here as we leave Scotland behind, and this is something I really need to point out. This is really important for the beta, but for Vulkan so far, with all of them, 1, 2 and 3, I'm finding in the Reverb that the ortho textures are blurry, but with the Rift S they seem to keep up no problem. As you can see here, that is full resolution True Earth ORBX goodness right there, and it looks absolutely incredible. I'm sure you'd agree, and it's butter smooth. I'm getting I haven't had one stutter yet, and I'm live streaming as well. So you guys with Rift S's, you are going to really benefit the most from Vulkan right now. Really? That's Brian? So Brian, you just said to me, just reading, this is reading it out, that you had no problems with the Reverb. But that is, I'm actually really happy to hear that, because I would, can I ask, did the Windows Mixed Reality controllers work? Because for me, and I think it was Dave, or someone else in the chat who has a Reverb, the Windows Mixed Reality controllers are now not working. You can't see them in the headset. So, yeah, I'd be interested to know if that was working fine for you. God, it's a very complicated business, isn't it? Just go outside again, have a look at these views. Thank you for reading these out for me, bless you. You're very cute. I do appreciate it. Ain't she a good girlfriend, guys? She's actually sat there reading the comments out for me. Or fiance, sorry, should I say. Robbo, what CPU? Well, I'm running a i5 A600K, and I'm actually running it at stock speed because I'm too lazy and I haven't actually upgraded the cooling. So that's, you know, to my own detriment really, because I can overclock my i5, I have done before, to 5.1 gigahertz, and it makes a huge difference in X-Plane. Or it used to, and I think it still will actually, but you know, with that high single core frequency, there's always a big thing. That's now changing with Vulkan, of course. So, but I'm finding it's a really good CPU, but right now it's running too hot for me to overclock it. So I'm running it stock speed, but the turbo frequency, I think it turbos up to about 4.3 gigahertz, which it will be right now when it needs to. So look at that ortho down there. Oh my god, that's absolutely gorgeous. Ah, okay. Right, so you did have an issue with the controller, but you obviously restart the controller itself. Maybe that's a workaround, a fix for the reverb in terms of its controllers. It is a shame, guys, because the reverb is just the ultimate VR headset. You know, if I only had one VR headset, it would be the reverb. But it's just what we need really. What we really need is Oculus to bring out a 4K headset. That's what we really need with this asynchronous time warp business and their own type, you know, controllers and software. That would be absolutely perfect. You know, maybe like 130, 140 degrees field of view. That would be the ultimate for me personally. But suffice to say, that hasn't happened yet. Should we have a little flyby, guys? Because just to show you the smoothness in the sim. Let's have a little flyby shot here. Look at this, look. Look how smooth this is. That is incredible. I have never had that level of smoothness before. I'm live streaming as well, which is incredible. So, you know, as I say, there is definitely it's a mixed bag of Vulkan because it's beta, of course, and I would definitely recommend being careful. If the beta that you're running at, if you're happy with it and you're not getting too many issues, then I would keep it until you hear of issues like mine, for instance. You know, this is what happens when you decide to do a live stream with a Vulkan beta without actually checking it first. It takes you an hour and a half to get ready, and we're going straight to some clouds, so I might just bring us down a bit lower. Absolutely, Oculus for the polish and the reverb for the resolution. That's a good tagline, I like it. That's basically, you just explained what I've been trying to say the past, how many videos? And you've just said it all in one there, totally right. And this is why, guys, this is why I own both headsets, because I can't really pick between them. You know, I can't really not have both for what I like to use VR for. So, but I think if you are strictly an X-Plane user and you don't use any other flight sim and you love VR, then I do think the Rift S is probably the better headset at this point in time. Keep going down low because we're now in the cloud, annoyingly. Can't see the ground, but we are going to be going over the Lake District in a minute, so I can't go down too low. I think the Lake District mountains, they top out about 4,000 feet, so I think we should be alright to go down a bit lower, he says. Who's that? Sorry, RMG471. Thank you so much for joining. You are more than welcome aboard this late flight down to East Midlands. Okay, we need to go down even more here. Really want to show you this true earth scenery. Now we are just about to go past. Oh wow, look at those. You can see that, guys, all those mats there. We're about to head into the Lake District now. Got to be very careful because this cloud's got lower since our if we would have been on time, this cloud would have been a bit higher up, but it's obviously closing in a little bit. Beautiful views though. Oh, we've got a bit of a... Oh yes, I've always had that. That's the... Okay, we've got a couple of issues here with the orthos. That one I always get with RF Valley. That's a freeware package. And that one there, I've been having that since Vulkan as well. Some of the ORBX airports do need updating. Thankfully, that's not bad enough for us to have a bit of a crash. So that's the main thing. It does need a lot of GPU to run, but to be honest, so does the Rift S actually, because the Rift S needs this, it needs super sampling, and I find, generally speaking, when all things are equal, and right now they're not in Vulkan, that the Rift S and the Reverb behave about the same. The only thing is the Reverb needs 45 frames per second, whether the Rift S only needs 20 frames per second, so that's really the reason. The native resolution of the Reverb is much easier on the GPU than super sampling, which the only reason why I know that is not because I know stuff, because I have no idea. I'm no technical guru of any sort, but what I do know is that I own both headsets, so I often kind of check them both out, if that makes sense, and that is my findings really. Coffee. Oh, brilliant. Hey, Belgio. Pleasure, sir, to have you aboard our delayed flight to East Midlands. We've had all sorts of issues. You know that that comment I said about getting the reverb? I wouldn't get one just yet. Not for X-Plane anyway. It's been a bit of a pain. After all, this is beta, so you know I'm sure it will run fine. In fact, it does run fine in the public release, and that's the main thing. But thank you for coming aboard. We are just about to head into the Lake District on our way to East Midlands. Yeah, it's been fun, put it that way. I say in inverted commas. It's taken me an hour and a half to get this flight up and running because I initially wanted to use the Rift S, but then we had a few issues with the dash system. It just doesn't work like it used to. I don't know what's happened, but I can't run the dash, so I can't see comments. So I thought I'll try the reverb, and then yeah, that was a really big mistake because it's pretty much broken for me in the Beta 3. So I've got Melissa here reading out the comments for me so I can just concentrate on flying. Phil, what's my favourite business jet? That's a good one. I think it has to be the Challenger 300. I can't remember who makes that, but it's on the org site. In fact, if you just put Challenger 300 X-Plane, it'll come straight up. You know, admittedly the cockpit is a bit... well, in terms of its graphics, I suppose eye candy, the cockpit could do with a refresh, but it is a full-on, you know, study-level aircraft, and it is beautiful to fly. And actually, in VR, it's probably one of the best performing aircraft you can buy. It's 45 frames all the way, no problems at all. So yeah, I'd recommend that one any day of the week. Right, Robbie, yeah, if you put, basically, you can't lock it down to 20 frames per second, you can only lock it down to 27, but if for whatever reason your system can't run 27, click the auto button, and then the asynchronous time warp will move to 20 frames per second. So I think that means it will put three frames in It's very complicated. But basically, the upshot of that is that when you look outside, everything is beautifully smooth. You may see a couple of artifacts, say, as an example, on the leading edge wing when you're taking off, you might see a few artifacts, because obviously your brain's being tricked into thinking it's smooth, but really Oculus' magic, however it does it, is adding in, what do you call it, like a pretend frame, for lack of a better word. It's very clever how they do it, and it's class leading. I really wish the Steam VR and Valve and Windows Mixed Reality had that. Right, we'll have another look outside here as you enjoy the Lake District. Look at these views here, absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I have, yeah. That's a good question. I'm actually... That's a good question. For me personally, I am getting a frame rate increase of about, say, 5 frames per second overall, which isn't massive. But the really big thing, the big deal, is the smoothness of the sim. There's far less stutters than I'm hopefully showing to you today. This is one of the my stress test scenarios, and East Midlands is horrendous for stutters. Hopefully, if all goes to plan, this flight will show you that the stutters are almost gone now, and that for me is probably more important than a raw frame rate. But in terms of that raw frame rate, for me, it's probably about a 5 to 6 frame difference, to be honest, but it's hard to tell. It's not so obvious, unfortunately, for me. We're about to go over Lake Windermere, and what was the other guy? Who did he say? It was Godfrey Net. Oh, hang on. Actually, I mentioned about the TBM. Yes, the TBM, the Hot Start TBM, is the best GA aircraft ever made, period. It is just a joy to fly, and you probably know that from all my videos in it. It is beautiful. This is Lake Windermere, the largest lake, I think, the longest lake in Great Britain. Wow, look at that. The view's absolutely gorgeous. And we're back in the cloud again. But it's alright, we can probably drop down even further now. Okay, we'll go to about 3,300, I think. So, hopefully this will show you guys that in terms of the Rift S, Vulkan is an absolute joy. It's way smoother for me. I haven't had a single stutter yet, which never happens, especially when I'm flying over such incredibly detailed terrain, whilst live streaming as well, heading to very, very complex ORBX airfields. And clearly we've got a lot of weather here as well at the moment, so now just to say, Ultimate Weather XP, which I use all the time, and Traffic Global, both of those plugins are broken in the beta. And just to say as well, I would recommend that everyone who has the beta, install it on a separate installation of X-Plane, My main installation, which I usually record with, hasn't been touched at all. That's still 11.4.1. You know, definitely make sure you've got a separate install for the beta, because obviously all the issues I've had today is a perfect example of why you need to make sure that you don't overwrite your existing installation. That would be a bad move. Wouldn't recommend it. Oh, that's good. Motion sickness, that's a good one. If you're new to VR, I would highly recommend that you only spend literally like 5 minutes in it, maybe 10 minutes tops. Do like a circuit at your favourite airport, then have a break. Do that for maybe a couple of days, see how you feel, then up that to 15-20 minutes. I would recommend as well that you have a fan pointing at you as well. That really helps motion sickness, but I did struggle to start with. I really did. I was wondering whether this was for me or not. I just couldn't cope with the motion. In fact, it's actually not motion sickness, it's actually the opposite, because what's happening is your brain is thinking that you're moving, but your body knows that you're actually stationary, so there's a conflict. But you do get used to it. I think the most motion sickness I've felt is probably using roller coasters and messing around in what they call locomotion games. I think for flight simming, because you're sat down, I didn't really have an issue with motion sickness as much. I suppose if you're throwing around an aircraft doing aerobatics and looking at the ground, sometimes I still get it. Every now and then I'll feel it, but I don't want that feeling to ever go away, because that's part of the experience, if that makes sense, because you would feel that in the real play. But yeah, if you're new to VR, take your time with it, that's for sure. Well, we're about to head over to near, yeah, that's Manchester there. So our next port of call is the Derbyshire Dales. And I'm hoping that in fact the clouds are starting to clear a little bit, so we can get a nice view of this terrain. Look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous and completely pin sharp. I can't believe the difference for me from the Reverb to this. Like the Rift S, it feels like a completely different simulator. Really beautiful views. Let's go outside again. Can't help it, let's go outside. A bit of a pan around. Oh, that is gorgeous. Flyby view as well. Just look how smooth this is. Usually it would stutter like crazy. That right there is the effect of Vulkan. I think that's the best way to show it, because before, as the aircraft kind of goes past, it will stop, judder, carry on again, judder. That's what it would be not like normally, but with Vulkan, it's like this. Butter smooth. Absolutely brilliant. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to just have a bit of a change. We're going to put an arrival in. In fact, we'll wait till we get to Pole, or just before then, when we're going to add an arrival in for East Midlands, because I want to slightly change the flight plan so we can go over the Lady Bower Dams. But as you can see here, I'm looking there, zooming right in. I cannot detect any stutters at all. That is butter smooth. You could almost be forgiven to think that we're in Aerofly FS2. Now, whatever the reason is, the reverb for me, creates really blurry ortho textures. It's got to be to do with that high resolution. I think X-Plane is taking that into account somehow, because when X-Plane thinks it's running out of VRAM, it blurs the textures. That is what it does now. So it clearly thinks there's plenty of VRAM available, which there should be with a 11 gig card, and that's why I'm getting all this. But that's within the Rift S. Interesting. It's very interesting tests. Oh, you know, Robbie, that is exactly it. And you know what? At the moment, with this COVID-19 doom and gloom going on, I really feel that VR is a lifeline, quite honestly, because freedom is the most important thing, really, to us. You know, and I just feel that VR gives you that. And when it looks like this and feels like this, it's a wonderful way to escape the realities of what we're facing right now. And I love actually flying. I love riding my motorbike in Derbyshire. I'll often go for a ride on a nice day. We both will, won't we, actually? You know, find a nice pub and stuff like that. Because we can't do that. By being in VR, I feel like, I mean, with this kind of level of detail, you can almost be forgiven that we are there right now. So yeah, VR is it's a wonderful thing when it works. But conclusion really for this particular Beta 3 is the Rift S is the one for me personally. I'll still be continuing to use this headset with this sim, and the reverb will be solely for sort of DCS and Aerofly and IL2, all the other sims I use. But for X-Plane, I think I said this on another video, yeah, I'll be using this headset because it seems to be working perfectly still. But I think lesson learned as well with betas. I think when Beta 4 arrives, maybe give it a day just to see how other people are finding it before updating it. And I certainly probably won't be doing a live stream straight away again once another beta drops. Well, I don't know, I might do. You know, it's all part of the fun in games, isn't it, really? So here we are, max detail. All of those objects, everything smooth as silk. Still, we're flying over very high resolution terrain here. Absolutely beautiful. Right, at this point we're going to have a slight deviation. Load an arrival, but I'm going to adjust the arrival actually. I think it was that one. Or was it that one? I can't remember now. Yeah, I think it was that one. Right, no, yeah, we won't have a transition. All of that. What we're going to do is go to direct to TNT. I love how you can use a GTN 750 like this. It's a really nice avionics package, shall we say, aboard this aircraft. There we go. And we can even set our ILS approach. We just go back to go to the flight plan page. Go to Actually, no, we won't do that. We'll go to waypoint information. East Midlands, runways, ILS, we want 27. And then we'll put that in our nav 1. That's all set to go. Frequencies, we can put the tower in, which is 124. Put that in our com 2. There we are, we're all set. Let's enjoy the Derbyshire Dales. Okay, so that's our, I'm not sure if you saw that on the pan around there, but that was a few little micro stutters. Had to be really picky. You can see there's just a bit of stuttering going on. I'd imagine it's loading in East Midlands, because we're only about 14 minutes away now. Now, if that's all the stutters we get, pretty much, that's just incredible, really. And you see here that the ortho is now starting to blur a little bit, and that's because, as I say, it's busy loading East Midlands. But I've got a feeling that's not going to be... There we are, look, already, even before I finish the sentence, the ortho is back up to full resolution again. I like that, I don't mind that, because that's limiting the stutters, rather than everything loading in at high res, and the whole sim pauses, you feel sick, because, you know, your VR headset is frozen for like half a second. That is not nice. That's another way you can feel motion sickness, actually, is when the VR headset freezes for a moment and you look, if you turn right, your brain is expecting to look right, and then you end up still looking forwards. It's a very strange feeling. Feel drunk for a moment. No, they haven't, Baldio. No, in fact, actually, I remember once I downloaded some sort of modification that was on the org site or somewhere where it actually did work. That was ages ago now, and since then I've updated it so many times I've just forgotten where that modification, you know, where it was that I found that. But yeah, it doesn't work. You see here, I'm pressing on these screens here. It's a shame. It is a shame, because like yourself, I loved using the touch controllers for pretty much everything, and yeah, it doesn't work. Robbie, the Icon A5, yeah, I remember that plane from the now defunct, what was it, Microsoft, when they tried, Microsoft Flight, was that their sort of flagship aircraft, wasn't it, when that was released? God, that was a mess, wasn't it, that thing? But yeah, I remember that actual plane being great fun to fly, and yeah, that would be quite cool, actually. Is there a decent version of that anywhere? I'll have a look. Right, we're going to just slow down here, because we are just going to go past the Lady Bower Dams. This is very famous, this reservoir, for the dam buster raids. The Lancasters used to fly over here at 50 feet, training to do that very famous run when they blew up those dams. The Hayder Dam was one of them. There's a couple more I can't remember the name of. I'm just going to go outside here, guys, just to show you the incredible views here of these dams. Now, I've got to say, ORBX has done a phenomenal job of these dams. Look at that. I dare say that is amazing. that looks pretty much real inside this headset. So well modelled. Oh, look at that, even a bit of reflections there. So this area, guys, I often ride my bike around here. You know, if I've got a bit of a spare day and it's a beautiful day, I'll often ride around this area. You can see why. But obviously at the moment, none of us can do anything right now, especially in the UK. So at least we can still recreate our favourite sort of activities in VR. That is just absolutely stunning, isn't it? Look at that! Geode, yeah, absolutely. It might be worth sending them an email actually, because they are the masters of that sort of thing. So yeah, totally agree. It's worth it. This bird is absolutely gorgeous. It's really good on frame rate, and I think it's you know, just a solid business jet. And it's just got some nice features that some of them don't, like this kind of iPad style control thing that you can adjust all the settings on there. So yeah, totally agree there. I think maybe it might be worth sending them an email. That is Sheffield to our left hand side. That must mean we are getting very close to East Midlands now. RMG 471. Do I use the default graphic settings in DCS? Well, actually, I use that as a baseline because I'm still quite new to DCS, and Geode might be able to, you know, chime in and let us know his settings, because he is the master at DCS. I love his videos with DCS. It's your fault why I've got the F-18 and maybe the Tomcat in the near future. Oh god, that F-18, I'm in love. In fact, that's going to be my flight for this afternoon in the Reverb. But yeah, I use that as a base setting. So I just basically clicked the VR preset, flew around for a bit, thought, yeah, this is smooth. So I thought, right, I'll just add a few little bits in. In fact, I'll show you my settings, but I'm not sure they're going to be that useful at the moment because I'm still tinkering and getting my settings just right. But I'm finding DCS is very good with performance, and as far as I'm aware, unless I'm wrong, it's not running Vulkan, is it? So whatever they're doing there, you know, it's not too bad. I'm finding at the moment the public release of DCS is better on frame rate than the open beta version on my system anyway. But do you know? Wow. Oh, go on. Yep. Yeah, beta 3. Yes, thank you for letting us know. This is beta 3 we're running right now. It's taken me about an hour and a half to get going though, and thank you so much to everyone who's waited, because I've simply had all sorts of issues with trying to get it to go. One thing as well, I've noticed that if I disable VR right now, and then for whatever reason they went back into it again, it crashes the sim straight away. So that is a bug that I'm going to let Laminar know about. I'm sure they already know about it, but the more of us that, you know, post these bugs, the more of us that that they get to know of, even if you think, oh, you know, it's already been posted, I'm sure everyone knows about it, but they might not know about it, or they might not think there's been enough people, you know, moan about a certain problem. So I'd imagine the way they do things is, you know, they clear bugs in order of high priority, and if they've got like 100 users that are reporting a specific thing, they will look at that first. So always report your bugs to Laminar, very important, because it helps them help you at the end of the day. Oh, it's so smooth, I love it. And we're getting very close, so maybe we should start descending very soon. But yeah, we'll start descending now, actually, nice and slow. Do you know, the battery in this Rift S controller, right, I don't think I've changed it in about a month. That's amazing. The Windows Mixed Reality controllers in the Reverb, they don't last hardly. In fact, at the moment mine's only lasting about half an hour because there's a problem with it, so I need to send them back. But even best case scenario, they'll probably only last about 5 hours. With the Rift S controllers, for me, they seem to last forever. What's the dogs doing? I can hear them going crazy in the background. Who is that? Monty, he's going mental. Thing is with Monty, you see, he might howl in a minute because he's going a bit crazy. He doesn't like it when I'm in VR for very long, and he likes to jump on the bed in this room and howl at me, and he will continue howling at me until I give him attention. So, but thankfully Melissa's in here, so hopefully that will help keep him occupied for the moment. Is there a difference between the DCS versions? Good question. I don't really know. Basically, I use the Steam version. That's the only one I know of. So I'm not sure if the direct download's any different. So that's a good question. I don't know about that one. Sorry, no idea. Robbie, does a screen door effect bother me in the Rift S? Oh god, I could talk about that for the next hour. How am I going to explain that in about a minute before we begin our approach? Really, it's the screen door effect in the Rift S is very minimal, to be honest. The only reason why I really notice it is because I have a reverb, and the screen door effect in that is basically not there. There's just no screen door at all. So because I have both headsets, obviously I do see it. The only time I really see screen door effect in the Rift S is if I look at a solid colour. So say if I'm doing IFR work, if I'm in the clouds, right, the dogs are going crazy now. What are you doing? Dogs here and they're going mental. So, but yeah. So say if I'm in cloud, or say if I can see a whitish background, like here, I can see screen door now. But if I'm looking at text, if I'm looking at different colours in the cockpit, it's just you don't see it. You really don't see it. You don't notice it unless you really look for it. I hope that kind of answers it, really. But I mean, God, if you had a CV1, as I'm sure if Belgiode is still there, if he, we had Oculus CV1s, and the screen door effect in that was pretty horrendous. When you compare it to the Rift S, it's a huge difference. Absolute huge difference, it really is. It's a really good screen in the Rift S. It's a really nice screen, without a doubt. You wouldn't go wrong if you bought one, put it that way. And you can play Half-Life Alyx on it as well. Well, I suppose you can in the Reverb as well. But... right, anyway, we're going to slow our speed down a bit. If you're wondering what I'm doing when I'm moving around here, I'm using my controllers on the Rift S. Sorry, on the Eclipse rather, and my CH Eclipse yoke, not the actual aircraft, to move around. That's funny, isn't it? This aircraft is called an Eclipse yoke, an Eclipse aircraft, and my yoke is called an Eclipse as well. So I'm getting all muddled up. I think I need another coffee. Or a whiskey, maybe. Look at that. Beautiful views, loads and loads of objects that the eye can see. That is very, very nice. So we are now 4 minutes away from East Midlands Airport. It's actually to our right hand side, it's to our 2 o'clock, if you can see that. This is a big deal. I cannot emphasise this enough. Heading to East Midlands in VR with maximum texture quality would not have been possible before with pre-Vulkan. This is the biggest difference I've seen. The headset would be freezing. There'd be like pauses of say 3 or 4 seconds. And it would be horrendous. But I'm not getting any issues at all with any sort of stutters or anything. That is a big deal right there, and that is East Midlands, and looks like it's already loaded in. So it's been doing that in the background whilst I've been yabbering on, without even noticing. That is a big deal. To me, that's, for VR particularly, the lack of stutters is a game changer, quite honestly. I don't really care so much about frame rate as I do about the sort of the way that the VRAM and the way that the textures and everything load in the background without affecting the core experience in the headset. Jasper. Oh, Jasper, the field of view, yes, totally agree. Yeah, FOF, or FOV, I think they call it, in the VR world. Yeah, field of view is a big thing, and well, it isn't a big thing in the Rift S. It's quite small. You're getting, I think, the Rift S field of view is about the same as the CV1, if anything, a little bit less. The Rift, the reverb is a little bit more, but that all depends on your IPD and where the lenses are, how close they are to your face, if that makes sense. For me, I do find the reverb slightly wider, but not by much. I mean, you know, you're talking of hardly anything really, because I think it's 114 field of, 114 degrees. That's 114 field of view compared to 110 degrees. So there's hardly anything in it, to be honest. That's really the next thing we need, a better field of view, without a doubt. Oh, stable scenery is dodgy. No worries, Robbie. Blacks, yeah, the blacks. Well, the Rift S black levels are atrocious. Quite honestly, I never fly this headset in the dark. I don't think it's very good. Is my honest answer there. I've no idea how HP have done it with their headset. Let's see if we can. Sorry, I'm just going to try and see if I can capture the glide slope here. I might have messed that up actually. See if the aircraft gets on the glide slope. If not, we can. It turns left. We've done it. Oh yeah, I think it's going to do it. This is a superb aircraft. It really is. And I'm not flying it very well, and it's still helping me out here. But yeah, the Rift S black levels are pretty awful. They're like a sort of a grey colour. The reverb black levels aren't that amazing either, because it's any LCD VR headset, you're going to have a trade-off. But I do think that the reverb head, God, getting all mixed up here. The reverb black levels are really, really good, far superior to the Rift S. So if flying at night's important to you, I would recommend the reverb any day over the Rift S for that, or even say a Samsung Odyssey, because that has the OLED panel screens are better for that. But I guess it's a trade-off. You either have better black levels, less resolution, or really good resolution and slightly grey blacks. Right, we're doing, well, not we or me, the aircraft is doing a very good job here. So we're going to take the autopilot off, and we have control of the aircraft. I'm doing everything wrong here. I'm only just putting the flaps out. But just guys, look at this. I have had literally hardly any stutters. I've got everything maxed out. All that busy, in fact there should be any cars on the road at the moment, but anyway. We're at East Midlands Airport, and we're coming into land very high. Never mind. And everything is smooth. Smooth as silk. We have landed. It's a miracle. Oh dear, wow. Look at that detail. And usually if I zoomed in there like that, I would get stutter, judder, judder, feel sick. But look at that, no problems at all. Right, clean this aircraft up a bit. Strobe's coming off, and we'll find somewhere to park.
Gear down. You tell me.
Do you know what, Balgio? I actually nearly forgot then. Did you notice that? I actually nearly did a belly landing. Of course, I meant to do that. That was all part of the plan. Just to, yeah, right, whatever. I know what you mean. I think once you've tried a Valve Index or the Pimax headsets for that field of view, if that's really important to you, it'll be very hard to go back. For me personally, for me, it's about the resolution. That's the important thing, and the smoothness. Because at the moment, Pimax headsets, I think what they're doing is fantastic. They're pushing the boundaries like crazy, but we're not ready yet. The hardware is not there, you know, especially for flight simulation. My goodness me, like X-Plane's only getting Vulkan now in 2020, so I think we're not ready for it yet, personally. But that, you know, as I say, that's my personal opinion. The 8KX is an incredible headset, I'd imagine, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out for people who do finally get them this year. So here we are. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, especially because we're so late. You know, we have all sorts of problems in the beginning, but somehow we've managed to survive and make it to our destination. All right, tell you what we'll do. Engines off. We'll open those doors. We'll let all of you guys off. Time to head to the cafe, I think. Oh God, right. Well, thank you so much. As I say, happy Easter to everybody. Have a wonderful time, whatever you're doing today. I know things are really difficult for everybody right now, and I guess the nice thing is that we're all in this together. You know, across the world, like everybody is dealing with this, and we will get through it. In the meantime, let's indulge in all of our passions, whether it's VR or anything really that interests you. Just indulge in those things, just to keep you sane, really. And I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much. This has been X-Plane 11, flying in Vulkan Beta 3. Currently, it's a bit broken at the moment for the reverb, but for the Rift S, that was a fantastic flight, and I think we'll do more. I'll do more Rift S action in X-Plane from now on, I think, and just keep the reverb for DCS, which I'm flying loads anyway at the moment. I'm really enjoying DCS. It's a fantastic sim, and I'd recommend everyone have a go at that sim. So with that being said, I'm going to disappear and find, hopefully the restaurant is open. So take care, guys, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye for now.